Hello, good evening, good evening, good evening. We've already got a whole bunch of people here. Welcome to the channel. My name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And we have Sweet Tater with us. She's a little banjo. And this is Hillbilly Crime. So, who all has seen the new interview with Mickey Stines' attorney? It was on Crime Fix, and we're going to watch it together. Most of us have probably already seen it, but I think it's important to watch it again and listen real closely to what he's saying. All right. We're going to watch the whole thing here.
Judge Kevin Mullins in the judge's chambers last September 19th. The two men had had lunch earlier that day, and no one noticed anything out of the ordinary. Then around 3 p.m., Stines and Mullins were in the judge's chambers talking. Detective Clayton Stamper explained during a hearing what was on surveillance video at a hearing last year.
I was told that Sheriff Stines had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
Then, for some unknown reason, Stines shot Judge Mullins.
So I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that were there that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
Deputies raced to the courthouse for the unusual call that Judge Mullins had been shot.
Go ahead.
What do you got?
Shots fired in the Letcher County Courthouse and somebody shot Judge Mullins.
You're a kid.
No, sir. Just come out on radio.
Body camera footage shows Stines being taken into custody.
Make sure there ain't no weapons or nothing now.
There ain't nothing in there, bro.
Yeah. Come on now. Right here, open up the back hatch. Come on. Now, come on.
You heard Stines tell the troopers to make sure there weren't any weapons in the back of the cruiser. He then talks a little bit more.
Y'all gonna leave me in here and let me die? No, I can't get up in there. Come on now. I can't. Yeah, man, I can't get in. These cuffs are way too tight. Come on now, guys. Come on now.
On the hour-long ride to the jail that's in another county, Stines practically sounds paranoid.
Come on now, guys. Make sure I get to the jail.
At times, it's hard to hear the troopers in the cruiser, but they try to talk to Mickey Stines on that long drive to the jail.
Come on now, guys.
I was asking why you done it. Was it over your family?
Come on now, guys. What are you doing?
I just talked to you. I'm just asking, was it something to do with your family or anything like that?
I want to tell you about Upside. It's a free app that gets you cash back on things like gas, groceries, and restaurants. Fix for extra cash back. Now, days before the shooting, Mickey Stines had been deposed in a civil lawsuit filed by a woman named Sabrina Atkins. Atkins sued Letcher County after a former deputy named Ben Fields admitted to having sex with her when she was an inmate and he was supervising her on home incarceration. Atkins says she couldn't afford a GPS bracelet, so Fields offered to help her out in exchange for her having sex with him in Judge Mullins' chambers. Fields was charged criminally and served 6 months in jail, and he's supposed to be on probation for more than 6 years. Atkins told investigators with the Kentucky Attorney General's office that she saw videotapes of Judge Mullins having sex with women.
But you just saw the judge. Do you know for sure that was the judge? I mean, how do you know that's the judge?
I'll be in front of you. His face is pretty clear on that.
So did this lawsuit and what was happening in the courthouse play a role in Stines shooting Judge Mullins? His attorneys most certainly believe so, and you're going to hear more about that here in a bit. Fast forward to a hearing for Stines last week. His lawyers want him to undergo a psychiatric evaluation to help determine whether he is criminally responsible for Judge Mullins' murder.
We do believe that there will be an issue as to criminal
Look how Mickey's looking at him.
responsibility. We have consulted with, folks with regards to that issue.
The judge agreed to get the ball rolling on the evaluation.
I think that's probably the best course of action to go ahead and get that in the pipeline. It is going to require, what I would recommend is that we go ahead and get the order entered in regards to competency and criminal responsibility. Might as well go ahead and let address, since we're going to be doing that versus we've seen it piecemeal, and I don't want to delay the proceedings if we would have to go back and redo that.
So competency and criminal responsibility, these are two totally different things. Competency has to do with whether someone is able to assist with their own defense, but criminal responsibility has to do with a person's mental state at the time the crime was committed. The Commonwealth objected to the defense's expert possibly being present during the evaluation, which would be conducted by the Kentucky Correctional Psychiatric Center.
I'm not comfortable doing a criminal responsibility if he's going to have an expert on that position, unless we know what the issues are they're raising in the criminal responsibility of their expert. So we're going to get in a position where our experts at KCPC or the court's experts at KCPC are on criminal responsibility are going to make a finding while their expert's present, and then he's going to go back and write his report. I don't want the court's KCPC evaluators doing an evaluation until they know what their position is, what their expert's position is. That way he's not interfering, but he's in an evaluation for criminal responsibility, and then he gets to go back and then address issues that he thought were not discussed properly during the KCPC responsibility issue.
So both sides will file briefs on that issue. Meanwhile, the exchange of evidence is well underway.
I know we have made discovery. I think 2 weeks ago, we made another some more discovery, some issues. We still have some things coming in and things being tested. I would think within the next 4 to 6 months, all discovery and testing would be complete.
I want to bring in Jeremy Bartley. He represents Mickey Stines in this case. So I want you to kind of break down, Jeremy, what exactly you're looking for here with the criminal responsibility evaluation. I mean, is this something that you would present to a jury, or would this be something that would be evaluated pre-trial?
Well, it has the potential to be both. So basically, we are required, if we intend to rely in part or in whole on a mental health defense concerning criminal responsibility, then once we are confident that we can announce our intention to use that as part of our defense, and we have retained our expert, then the Commonwealth of Kentucky has the opportunity to have Mr. Stines evaluated by their expert. And at this point, KCPC there's a huge backlog of cases in the state of Kentucky. And so normally this might be something that we would wait a little bit longer on, but in the interest of trying to expedite this case, we have presented Mickey for examination now.
The Commonwealth seemed a little surprised by this. It sounds like they kind of expected the competency exam request, which is different. Competency determines whether or not your client can assist in his own defense. Sure. But you said it was a joint motion. So explain to me kind of why they seemed sort of taken off guard there.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for the Commonwealth, but I have spoken with Mr. Still after. I think potentially there was a misunderstanding between the two of us, but I will say that we have not had a reason to believe that he is not competent. And so competency for the viewers is, that's an examination of whether he's able to understand the nature of the proceedings and whether he's able to assist us in preparing his case for trial. It concerns only the now. Where is he at today in terms of his ability to understand those things and to participate? Whereas criminal responsibility, that examination focuses on the time of the alleged acts. And so what we said in court is that I have no reason at this point to believe that he's unable to assist us. I believe that he understands the nature of the proceedings. But I do believe that his defense will in part rely upon a mental health defense.
In the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the statute is very clear. A person is not responsible for criminal conduct if at the time of such conduct, as a result of mental illness or intellectual disability, he lacks substantial capacity either to appreciate the criminality of his conduct or to conform his conduct to the requirements of law. We saw the body camera footage that was released that we obtained earlier this month. He seemed your client seemed very paranoid in this footage. You know, he's asking where they're taking him, all of this stuff. You know, it almost sounded like he was afraid they were going to take him in the woods somewhere and do.
That was a piece of footage that we've not seen before, if you all noticed that.
Something to him, or that he was going to be taken somewhere. I mean, did he feel an imminent threat? And was it because of this lawsuit, you know, about the sex in the courthouse and all of these allegations?
If you'd like a one-word answer, yes. Yes, he did feel threatened. In the
by
days
Judge
leading
Mullins?
up, he felt threatened by, I'm not going to say specifically who, but at this point, but
Wow.
he was concerned about if he said the wrong thing or if he had already said something that could cause people to want to retaliate against him, to cause harm to him or his family. Yes, he did feel that there was an imminent threat. And, you know, is it related to the deposition? Well, in large part, yes. And there were a variety of things that were happening there in the area of the courthouse that I think a lot of people wanted to keep secret. And, I think we're starting to see, as you've reported, and about some of the things that were behind the veil were not operated the way they should be.
There's been some reporting out there by another outlet. There have been some people who've floated some theories to us that even though, Mickey Stines was obviously, as the sheriff, named in this lawsuit as the sheriff, that he was somehow involved in all of this with the sex in the courthouse somehow. Was Sheriff Stines, as the sheriff, involved with the sex for favors in the courthouse?
The civil suit, the only reason that our client was named in the civil suit, and we're not representing him in that, but he was named solely as the sheriff. And the allegation in that case was solely that he failed to train this Ben Fields, who was convicted of having these sexual relations with people on pretrial release in the same chambers where these acts occurred. But I've not seen any allegation concerning my client in that case that relates to those allegations, and I've not seen anything that substantiates anything of that nature against our client.
Is there anything else that you can reveal to us about what was going on in that courthouse and why he felt threatened that day?
Well, I just think there are a lot of things that he certainly would have been privy to, had been made aware of, and I think that there was a concern that what he might say in that deposition could be harmful to others. And I think that this caused him severe distress. And I think you see a person in the body cam footage that you have, you see a person who is completely outside of themselves, outside of the normal way that people were used to seeing the sheriff. And, the days leading up to that deposition and the days following that deposition, he was looking around every corner. He had every reason to believe that there was a threat to his wife and daughter. You heard the testimony at the preliminary hearing that our client's statement was they were going to take or kidnap my wife and daughter. And that was a very real threat that the sheriff felt. And so I think that it's important to understand that while this is not a whodunit case, you have a video, there was a shooting, but there is a real husband, a real father, and a real human who was placed in a absolutely very delicate situation.
Well, we will stay tuned. Jeremy Bartley, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right. What does everybody think about that? What do you think about that, Mom?
Oh, I think that man is brilliant, that attorney. And
He is a good attorney, ain't he?
the way he phrased everything and his comeback to stuff was in support of his client. And he said exactly what I was thinking, in all this mess, that he kind of summed it up for me.
Yeah.
I don't know who all's involved, but we ain't seen that yet. But
well, that was a very, very informative interview for me.
it was. He gave lots of information.
I think that it was important to point out that he says that Mickey had every right to, at the time, to fear for his safety. But paraphrasing what he said. Let's break it all down. Tracy says, I agree, Zelma. Love Bartlett. Absolutely. Tragic for both the Mullins and Stines families. Yes. See, I live in Leslie County and have frequented the jail. Oh, sorry. He was the bailiff. What was that judge up to before the deputy got caught? Well, it really makes you think that this goes way farther than just Ben Fields, because why would Mickey fear so bad? It sounded to me like Mickey was afraid that they didn't want him even talking at that deposition. And I also wanted to pick up on what we saw yesterday, was it? Where they said that Mickey was prickly and that he had a really bad temper and stuff. And then somebody commented and said, well, Ned Pillersdorf was the one who used the word prickly, who described him as that. I didn't remember that, but I do remember him saying, he wasn't, friendly, of course. I mean, of course he's not going to be. This was a deposition that was looking to, with some really, really bad accusations. So, of course, Mickey's not going to go into that deposition being all smiley and trying to be
hunky-dory.
Yeah. But it really shows you how much stress Mickey was under at that point in time. That would be a reason why that would be a reason why he hadn't slept for days and days before that happened. He was scared to death.
There we go. I put it back down.
Oh, Thank you.
They have we ever got to listen to that deposition that Mickey did?
No, not yet. No, I don't think it's out because that's part of the civil suit. And that civil suit, from what I understand, it's on hold right now. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I thought I heard somebody say that it was on hold right now, waiting to see what was going to happen with the criminal trial. But I could be wrong about that. Yes. Guarantee the KSP investigator in charge knows more or is involved. Yeah, let's see. You think the Bates officer is a good officer? I don't know Bates. I don't know that Bates guy. I've heard some things though. We're going to look at another officer. We're going to look at another officer involved in some dirty stuff. Let me pull this up real quick. Former police chief arrested in Letcher County. And you see, it doesn't have hardly much of a article, but it says police in Letcher County arrested a former police chief Wednesday. Crystal Davis, who served as the Elkhorn City police chief, is accused of taking medicine from the Rite Aid where she worked. She admitted to taking the rugs to pay her bills and buy gas, police said. She said she took dozens of pills. The value of the rugs added up to nearly $135. Are you joking? She bonded out of jail the same day. Police arrested Davis last summer for allegedly driving under the influence. She was still serving as police chief at that time. And then we're going to look at this one, and here she is. This was an update.
And what's her name?
Her name is Crystal. Elkhorn City Mayor suspends police chief without pay following DUI arrest. Crystal Lewis.
I think I had her in school. I think she worked in our sheriff's department at one time, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, this article is going to tell she was a dispatcher and she was the deputy in the Letcher County Sheriff's Office, and she worked here in Jenkins. It says that she refused to go along with what happened in something here in Jenkins, and she was fired. Let's read it and see if it tells us about it. Elkhorn City Mayor Mike Taylor says he suspended police chief Crystal Lewis without pay following her DUI arrest Sunday night in Pike County. Davis, 32 of Jenkins, was arrested after she was involved in a single vehicle crash that happened just after 9 p.m. on Highway 197 at Shelby Gap. The mayor says he is shocked by the developments. I would have never suspected this in a million years with her, Taylor said. Davis was not on duty at the time of the crash. Davis has been the Elkhorn City Police Chief for about 6 months and has been a police officer for nearly 14 years. So she knew better than to take, and $135 worth of stuff. Like, you risked your job for that. So what does that tell you? Because what that tells me is that this was not the first time. This was probably a regular occurrence, because if you was going to do something just a one-time thing, you'd think you'd do more than $125.
So why did she take the pills?
Just for gas. And
how did she get a hold of them?
They said that she worked in the Rite Aid, and so she worked there.
Oh, she was working there while she was being the policeman.
I guess so. It says Davis began her career in law enforcement as a dispatcher and deputy for the Letcher County Sheriff's Department and served as the Jenkins Police Department deputy chief for nearly 2 years before taking over command of the Elkhorn City Police Department. Mayor Taylor says Davis was one of the finest on the force. She has been absolutely wonderful, Taylor said. I have had no problems, no issues with her. She's done the job good, really great. One of the best officers I've ever had. KSP troopers spoke with Davis Sunday night at the Pikeville Medical Center emergency room where she was transported by ambulance. Troopers say they noticed she smelled strongly of alcoholic beverages, according to an arrest citation. Davis admitted to troopers that she had drank 4 to 5 drinks. Her eyes were bloodshot and glassy, and she told troopers that she was the only occupant in the vehicle and stated she had not drank or taken any intoxicating substances since the time of the crash, an arrest citation indicates. A portable breathalyzer test was given to Davis at the emergency room, which investigators say did show the presence of alcohol. Davis declined her own blood test and declined an offer to contact an attorney and was arrested at 10:45 p.m. according to the citation. Mayor Taylor says the situation is unfortunate. It just really hurts me that it's happened. And I know that things happen in people's lives that they don't mean to happen, but a lot of things happen that really ruin their lives. And I'm sad that it's that way, but at least nobody was hurt. Man, they know better. They know better. Davis is charged with DUI first offense, licensed to be in possession and no registration receipt, and was taken to the Pike County Detention Center. Davis entered a not guilty plea in Pike County District Court Monday morning. A pretrial conference was set for November 3rd. Davis was released from the Pike County Detention Center after signing herself out on a $1,000 at 10% bond, jail officials said. And she didn't return any comments or calls for comments.
When did this happen?
That was, I think, in 2017. So I think this happened before Mickey became sheriff. But it just shows you more of a pattern. You know, you also had Brian Dameron, who was arrested for, and he was a supervising deputy. So he was one of the top dogs too. And that's kind of how, you know, these organizations, if it starts and stops with the top. Always. Always, always, always.
When
Really?
I had that girl in school, and I
Yeah.
thought she was just wonderful.
Well, I'm
And
sure she was a wonderful person.
well, I mean, at that time, I was just telling you my story.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so she would work down there at the sheriff's department, and she'd have her little uniform on. I don't think she wore a gun or anything. I don't remember that. Then I don't think the college would have allowed that. And she'd come to class in her little uniform, and it was just adorable.
Well, I think it just shows. I just wanted to throw that on there about
But
that
you all
girl.
know how I am. I have this bleeding heart. There's a side story in there someplace. I don't know where it's at.
Well, it shows a big difference on how she was treated, but she did crash her car. The chief of police in Whitesburg didn't have any consequences. He was just found passed out at Taco Bell. He didn't crash his car. So,
Well, I was talking about the girl, you know. What I'm saying about her is the same thing the mayor said about her. She would have been really good to the people, you know, that she served. I mean, it's too bad she got out and drank and hit somebody, but she was a nice person. She'd be a kind of policeman that I'd want.
well, but listen, that is exactly kind of my point here. we don't never know what people are really like behind closed doors. Like, we see what people want us to see. You know, I remember that very first feller I was with, and he whooped on me real bad. But then afterwards, it was always, he never did it in front of people. So then whenever we separated and I mentioned it or brought it up to somebody, well, I couldn't imagine that boy ever doing anything like that. Oh, well, he was just such a great person. We couldn't imagine him doing nothing like that. People don't, if they, I don't know, if they don't allow you to see who they really are behind closed doors, you know, we can easily be deceived. You know, and it doesn't sound to me like if you're willing to swipe money and rugs from someplace like Rite Aid, you know, I mean, just doesn't seem like you got. I mean, stealing's wrong, especially as a police officer. You know better than that. Drinking and driving is wrong. You could take somebody's life. You're a police officer.
It says lots of information is forthcoming in that deposition.
Yeah. I think Mommy was telling me, shut up, y'all. Go ahead, Mommy.
Well, I think they're talking about Mickey's case, and you're still back there on that other one.
Sorry. Okay, you're right. Mickey felt betrayed.
And I really heartily disagree with you on that other case.
Yeah, that's okay. Mickey felt betrayed and threatened is what I think, is what LS says. The puzzle pieces are starting to fall into place.
I think they are too. Each time a little bit more comes out. I think I can see the play, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to be made into a play or a movie or something. And so I can just see bits of it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. They'll make several movies out of this probably. That also explains more why he asked right away to be treated fairly. Absolutely the correct attorney for Mickey. I like this guy. I really do too.
Well, he sees Mickey just like I always did, because, you know, I always did try to protect him. I just couldn't get it around why he did some of the things that he did.
Yeah. Mickey felt sucked into something that was going to implicate him in something he had nothing to do with. Just my opinion. Well, you know, if Mickey really was... Hey, wake up. Sorry, I got a snoring dog. If Mickey was really just a witness, you know, and this whole time that he was a bailiff in the courthouse, if he was witnessing other people doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, and he felt compelled to keep, you know, that he had to keep his job and to stay in the good old boys circle, he had to stay quiet. You know, I think what the lawyer said about competency is very important too. So he's not saying that they're even questioning his competency now, which is now. They're saying he understands what is happening. They think he is able to help in his defense. And let's see, the lawyer, the prosecutor, and many investigating eyes directly has a clear view of the whole judicial system in that courthouse. Well, and I thought it was telling too that his attorney said that there was a misunderstanding between him and Jackie Steele. And so one thing that we did learn from the last court hearing, that Zoom hearing that they had, when they were talking about that funding, that money, it wasn't for a public defender or anything like that. It was for his experts. They were, because the state will pay for the experts. So that's what that was for. I didn't know that at the time. Mommy, pull your camera down so it's not on that fan.
Okay.
We had somebody reach out and say it triggered their seizures or something like that. So we try to be mindful of it.
I had to get up, go let the doggies in.
Deborah Daniel says he has a good attorney. Fact is, he pew-pewed judge. A wife and daughter lost their husband and dad. He should get life in prison, period. I told you there is a percentage of the population that is just outraged, about what Mickey did. Not everybody is behind Mickey, for whatever reason. There is a large percentage of the population that is blindly behind him, but there's a pretty good size that's very upset with him too. So, it's kindly starting to, more and more people are feeling more free to talk about stuff now too. It would destroy everything he worked for. Motive. Let's see. But there is also the why, to ask why was he kicked out of his house? Was it from what I heard that it wasn't necessarily that he was kicked out. I heard he was staying away from there because of the paranoia that he was suffering at that time. That's why he was not at home. But now that's just hearsay. But so she may not have kicked him out. He may have been staying away, willingly.
To protect him.
Yeah. So that's another way to look at it. That could be possible. I agree. I'd love to hear Sweet Tater play some songs for us sometime.
All righty.
The civil suit is on an indefinite hold until the situation plays out. That's what I thought. Yep. I think Mickey found out that the judge and possibly others involved in this schmex rings was setting Mickey and possibly his family to unalive them for what they know. Well, it's a theory for sure. Court reporters should have had time to complete the transcript on that deposition by now. I'm sure the prosecution and defense have requested a copy. Oh, I'm sure they probably have. Yeah. I'm not sure. Like, we have a copy of the lawsuit that was filed, but I don't remember there being any transcript of the deposition in there. Turn that off, Mommy.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I guess I was born a few decades too late. Let's see. Here, I think they were going to do a settlement meeting on the civil case. Let's see. Do you think his stress caused him to go without sleeping? I know stress has interrupted my sleep patterns. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That would explain that, wouldn't it? That would explain, because I said the other night, even if you had insomnia, you'd still at least attempt to lay down and get some sleep. But if he was going through this, like if this, I just feel like this lawyer gave us a better look and understanding just with what little bit he revealed right here. I think he gave us a better look at where Mickey was, leading up to that day and at that day, on that day. Man.
I always felt like that he was named in the suit simply because he was the sheriff, and a sheriff ought to know what's going on. And not because he'd really done anything wrong, except maybe not pay attention to what was going on. I don't know. So it just never dawned on me that something bad would be going down about that until now. Now I realized that there was stuff there that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Didn't focus on as a possibility.
Yep. Well, it's just if you listen to the way that the lawyer spoke and what he said about the way that that Mickey was feeling threatened. He felt threatened for his life and he felt threatened for his family. But what really stuck out to me was when he said he had every right to feel, because she asked him about his paranoia on the way to the jail. And she said it sounded like he really thought they were going to take him out in the woods. And he was like, well, he had the right to feel threatened or whatever it was he said. I just think that was very, very telling that it wasn't so much, they're not so much looking at he was crazy when he did this and he did it for no reason. The way that I perceived that interview is that he was really under a great deal of pressure and stress in a very unique situation where he couldn't speak about stuff. And if you just look through, read through the lines there, and he was afraid of saying the wrong thing that would implicate others in the depositions. And he also said that he was afraid that he might have already said something bad. That really, really makes it, my theory of organized crime in Letcher County, it leads a lot more credence to that theory.
Well, we need that deposition to see what it's got.
Yep. Well, anything else you want to say on that, Zelmy?
No. Let's see. We watched that. Did we watch another thing before we watched that?
No, we just watched.
No, yeah, we just watched that. I think he's got a great attorney. I thought he looked good. In fact, I thought he looked a little bit heavier. And because Mickey's always been kind of heavy. And I think that he's going to get the best deal he can possibly get with that attorney. I don't know what that deal's going to be, but whatever it is, that attorney's going to do him right.
I think so, too. I think that if Mickey, he's obviously told his attorney. His attorney knows what's going on.
Yes, he does. I was thinking all this time, would Mickey try to conceal, like if he had done stuff himself, would he be able to conceal that from his attorney or not? But I think the attorney has a really good grip on.
I think Mickey's told his attorney everything, just by the way that his attorney's talking, and it just sounds to me like.
Who we got here just wondering if she knew something and they set her up so she'd be arrested to shut her up, afraid to talk.
Let's see. Ramona, Brian Dameron stole weapons and evidence from the evidence locker. Yeah, we did one on him, Ramona, the other night. I was looking to see who Christy was talking about, and I guess she was talking about the women.
They didn't kill any of the women that I'm aware of.
Well, listen, we've had so many unsolved red rums in this county, and it wasn't just women. There was a man up here at these projects up here in Jenkins that was found in an apartment. That case was never solved. There was another one. Somebody was telling me about it last night, I think, and it was unsolved. You have several red rooms in this county that have gone unsolved. And I'm not saying they're all related to, any of that, but
It's just sort of part of the culture.
yeah.
I think there are a lot of shootings in this county and in Harlan County.
There are. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're talking about, Christy. You're talking about that woman. I see it. Okay. Let's see. Candy S. Glad everyone is seeing what I've been saying from the beginning. Both of Sheriff Stines' attorneys are brilliant. Absolutely, they are. I like him. Could have been a he said, she said situation and was ran off the road and called it drunk driving. Well, I think it was more like she was doing stuff she shouldn't have been doing, but it was so little, like, to me, that says it's something that she was doing, on a regular basis. Like, it wasn't no big deal. But that's what it says to me. Now, we can agree to disagree. If anybody else has a different opinion on it, that's perfectly fine. Family.
Well, some people don't see that as a moral issue. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, shaking hands or something. As far as the girl's concerned, because she gets into that state where she has to think like that in order to do it. And she has to do it in order to keep her habits and so forth.
And what do we know about stuff like that? Like, this is just common sense here, Once people cross that line, then it's easier to cross it a little bit more and a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. It doesn't just stop with one. And that
I can, I'm not much of a moralist. I mean, if that's the way a person wants to make money, I used to give my blood a lot, and I'd leave my organs and all that kind of stuff. So, I just don't have any kind of a moral like thing about it. But for me, it would be the incident of disease, because you'd be just catching everything under the sun. Anything that goes through the blood, you would catch it unless there were some sorts of protections used. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Rodney Stevens says, I think he snapped because his life was falling apart over something he wasn't involved in. Larry Hanks says Mickey was terrified. Well, he sure did sound like it in that video. And, before hearing the lawyer come out and pretty much confirm all this, before we were all kind of just throwing out any kind of speculation that we could really think of, any theories that kind of made sense, because we didn't have any concrete, or we really didn't have any direction, not so much concrete, but we didn't even know what direction to go in.
He sounded like somebody, that was drunk or something like that didn't, like he was in shock, and his mind was such that it wasn't comprehending like a person would be if they were drunk.
Well, I think I look at this a little bit differently now about the mental health part of it. They're not saying he's crazy. They're not saying he was crazy when this happened. They're saying that he was driven by all this stuff that was going on, and the fear, and him perceiving all these threats and the stress that caused.
He just went out there and became somebody else than the guy we knew.
Yeah. So,
And that's kind of what his attorney said too.
get over here.
You know, the guy that I thought Mickey was, that's who he was. You know what I'm saying? But he was driven to the point of breaking and did what he did.
Yes.
That's kind of how I felt about it all along. Now, I don't know what that drive was all involved in that drive that pushed him over the edge. But, you know, I don't know how the trial will come out. And, you know, and I'm sorry for the other fellow's family, particularly for the family. But I think that it's all going to work out one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it is going to work out one way or the other. That's for sure.
And a little bit is just coming out at a time. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Right. No, the world is just going to keep on turning. LS says Mickey could easily have not known what Ben and the judge were up to. If he was such a good family man, they all went goody two-shoes around him. Well, that's a possibility too, you know, because I've spoke to somebody who was kind of in that circle, and they swear up and down that they've never seen anything. They never saw the judge doing anything dirty, and they never saw Mickey doing anything dirty.
And I think that was true. You know what I'm saying? I think but I think in that opportunities arose that caused them to get in trouble.
This right here is a really good point. Vicky VA, people change too. You can walk the straight and narrow all your life and then do something stupid out of character. And
because you think you know how to get away with it.
Mm-hmm. And we can flip that around, and the vice versa is also true. People can change. You can walk the dirty path when you started out, but then as you get older, you start growing up and you start, you know, maybe your libido is not as strong as what it was when you were young. So you're not out doing as dirty things as what you used to do. You know, it might have been 20 years ago that people were really acting bad, and they've, you know, it's been under the rug this whole time, but then you've got new players.
People change all the time.
They do.
And most of the time, I think they change for better. I said most of the time, not all the time. But you have to define what's better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm better today than I was yesterday because I did some things today that probably helped people.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have a new a day to try again. Sometimes people stay silent because they're afraid for their family. I wonder if that could be part of this too. You know, and Mickey could have felt safer in jail. You're absolutely positively right. We never know what's going on behind closed doors and what's on people's hearts and minds. We only see what they allow us to. Yep. The whole thing is outrageous. Oh, crap. No. Lord, I wish. I wouldn't know what to say. I'd just bumble over my words. I get all nervous and flop, I'm sure.
Well, I think we'll see another little piece again. He said 6 months. So give it a couple of months and we'll see another little piece come to surface.
Would you give up your life for your spouse and child if they were in danger? Well,
I think I would for my child, but I don't know about the spouse. I'd have to see who he was.
I think most people would like to think that they would, but when it comes down to it, you know,
survival.
Mm-hmm. Probably they are upset that it has pulled this out into the open. Oh, absolutely. Well, he definitely ended the corruption.
Probably.
She has no morals, absolutely no more. She knew better. She was a police officer and she was supposed to and she was upheld to a higher standard than a regular citizen. She should have known better. I wonder how the judge's wife is doing after finding out about everything coming out. The judge. This whole thing is just devastating to them all. I'm sure, you know. I don't think there is any fear of Mickey hurting anyone else, which is why they feel okay asking for bond. It's good to know. He definitely wanted to protect his family. I reserve my judgment. I do not know all the facts. Until I do, I cannot say. He could have been having mental issues, and they were just manifesting for him. Well, I was leaning more at the beginning. I had spoken to someone who's a former reporter, a former local reporter, and so they had some really good sources and connections from when they were a reporter. And they said that they had spoken to some of these law enforcement KSPs, and they were saying that it looked like there wasn't nothing there, you know, that this looked like it was going to be a mental health situation. And so I kind of put a lot of weight into that. You know, I thought, well, even if there was something there, they weren't going to be investigating it. It didn't sound like it anyway. What I was hearing through the grapevine. And now I kind of see it in a different light. I see more, less crazy. That's what I thought they were saying, that it was more mental illness. You know, this was just going to be some kind of a paranoid, you know, issue. Go ahead, Delmy. I can tell you want to say something.
Well, I don't know what you were talking about, the thing there. Well, I've thought all along that something drastic happened, and I just didn't know what it was. And I didn't know that the deposition was any kind of an issue. I just thought it was a thing that'd be passed over. So I thought the thing that happened later with the pew-pewing was a new issue arising, but apparently it isn't. I think somehow there's a connection there.
I've always thought that. I have always said from the very beginning that I thought this was going to be connected to that deposition, to the civil suit, and to what was going on with Ben Fields. But I don't necessarily think that it's, you know, with Ben. I think it's other people that were also involved in this behavior.
I just think the FBI, you know what I'm saying?
I think there's more people. I think there's more people that are in danger of being found out.
What's wrong with you?
My dog stole my earring. I just steal it back.
How did he get it? Did he get up there and bite it?
Yeah. The lawyer on the civil case already came out. That is on hold a few weeks ago. Really, the civil suit wasn't filed correctly by one only filing against Stines. There have been a lot of questions. There have been a lot of people come out and say, why didn't Ned Pillersdorf or whoever, you know, is filed that civil suit, which I think is him, but why didn't they include the judge? Because it was his chambers that this allegedly happened in, or not allegedly, he pled guilty. So why wasn't he on there simply because of that fact alone? You know, did he not? And remember, I'm no lawyer, but did he?
I haven't seen anything about. I thought it was a done deal that they said that they were guilty, and they were just. But they're just waiting for the sentence. The civil suit is waiting for the money.
Well, the
criminal suit's all over.
Yes, the criminal suit is over for Ben, but the civil suit is on hold right now because of Mickey. Mickey was one of the defendants on that civil suit. So whenever this happened at the courthouse, they've kind of had to put the civil suit on hold until the completion of this criminal trial.
Yeah, because the civil suit is where they're going for money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But there have been lots of people question that. Why wasn't the judge included in that? Why wasn't other people included in that suit? But Ned said pretty much we have to file in good faith on what we can prove, or and so that's important.
That's important.
Yeah. Kentucky Bluebird. If he was trying to protect his family, wouldn't you want to be close to them to protect them?
Well, you was protecting them by being gone because they weren't after you. They weren't after your family per se. They were after you.
Justice Kentucky asks a very good point. Stines red rummed the judge with his hands up. Is there a good reason for that? Hit that like button for me, y'all. I ain't too proud to beg. Puts us out with more people. Thank you. Christy, that makes sense. Trying to take the pressure off his family or move the bullseye away from them.
Yeah.
Like, would they know? That's right. That makes sense. Bugman, I had a friend, totally normal, about 40 years old. He started getting paranoid schizo, ended up walking downtown barefooted, and we had to get him in the hospital. You just never know. That's true. You don't never know. He gave his deposition he gave his deposition like 3 days before. He gave his deposition on Monday with Ned. And this took place on like Wednesday or Thursday. So it was like 3 days before this happened that he did the deposition. Dee Dee, I hear you, June. I hear you, honey. I'm a little behind on the stream, but wanted to say hi and remember, hit the like button. Please do. Please do. Christy says, I know when I was under a lot of stress, I slept about 2 hours a night. Yeah, that changes my entire way of thinking on the sleep. And I said that the way that he was talking and just that irrational fear, that what we seem to look at, what I see when I look at that is that irrational fear that resembles the math stuff. This changes my whole way of looking at that. If this was a serious threat and he didn't know who he could trust, he didn't know where to turn, he felt trapped and blocked in, and here he's got these depositions he's got to go, under oath, risk of perjury. Am I going to say something that's going to rat out my friend? Am I going to say something that's going to rat out myself? I can see, especially if you've got stuff to hide, or even if it's somebody else's stuff to hide. That would be very scary if you did know what the consequences would be if it came out, if it was found out, all the stuff that you were doing.
Well, it's interesting. It's fun to talk about. I mean, I'm sorry it happened, but it certainly is, speculation is fun.
Yeah.
We're going to help them write we're going to help them write the script,
There you go, Mommy. I'm more than positive there were crazy things going on in that crazy town courthouse. That's no damn defense. None. Oh, I'm not trying to come up with any defense. there is no justification for what he did. Even if the judge was doing some really dirty, bad stuff, if he was, then he should have been made to deal with the consequences. Could you imagine the shame and all that would have befell him if he was doing this kind of stuff? He would have had to have faced those consequences. But this way, he doesn't have to answer for anything, and you don't really even know what's going on. This case is mesmerizing. Can't wait for everything to come out. Everything happens for a reason. It's sad that someone was unalived, but look at everything that's coming to light and how many lives won't be harmed now.
Well, then I always believe that things, when you have a tornado or anything, like that tears down the structure, and then this is sort of like that. It's got everything tore down to the structure. Now they can build all that back up, and they can have some checks and balances in place. I don't know who would be in charge of the courthouse.
Carol Freer, they won't release deposition transcript until after the civil case is settled or if it is brought out in the criminal trial. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds reasonable.
It's sad for both families, for sure. However, our sins affect everyone around us as well. If he is as dirty as rumors portray, then many people are safer with him gone. His power needed to end.
Well, I can certainly buy into that myself, But then
that's what Ned said. He thought that it was going to end up being a time to kill defense. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I believe I heard his daughter had an internship. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true or not. I've not heard or seen any confirmation on that part, but I've heard a lot of rumor about that. You do a really good job. Enjoy your show. Well, thank you, honey. Keep coming back. We're going to do a members only live too, where we are going to go through the Discord and kind of give you all a tutorial and show you what all things you can do and all the fun stuff with it. So be looking for our members only live. That will be, looking over our Discord and just kind of showing you how to use it. Mama Duck has put that together, so it's great. Tell her thank you. Justice Kentucky, can a sheriff be threatened enough not to use his powers to arrest instead of unaliving an unarmed person? Good point. What do you think about that, Zelmy?
Well, I think that he can be not know who he can trust, and if he arrested the judge, where would he put him? I mean, it's too complicated to arrest a judge. If you're thinking about it, logically. Well, which shooting somebody is not very logical.
It'd be his word against his word.
Yeah. No, he didn't want him arrested. He wanted him.
One thing I feel sure about, Mickey will testify. He has nothing to lose by exposing the whole big mess. That's very, very true. I sure wish he would get up there and testify, but...
Well, he'll tell his lawyer everything that there is, and his lawyer will make it come out without him having to testify. See, like Mickey didn't have to say a thing about what that lawyer said today. That lawyer was slick as he could be, slick as that ice out there in winter.
Rodney Stevens says, I don't think you will testify.
No, because it might trip him up. It's going to come through his lawyer, though.
Yeah, the daughter and judge things have all been dismissed. That's right, Larry.
Well, I didn't know that she was his intern, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. So as far as I know, that's just
That's
been,
an unconfirmed thing.
yeah, so far it is. He still has to pay for what he did, but a mental breakdown or mental issues that cause you to lose touch with what's going on, delusions, etc. Well, I can just see how the stress of hiding and trying to keep all of this under wraps. Like, think about this. If there is really an organized crime syndicate in Letcher County, he was really in danger.
Well, have you ever told any lies? Well, I sure have. I don't know about you perfect people.
That's right.
And it becomes a mess. Trying to keep straight who you lied to who about and what it was all about. So, he was all messed up trying to keep all these lies straight because, he was in a bad situation. So he had to tell this to one person and something else to another one. And then he sat with these FBI men, and they're trained to trick you.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not there to be your brother. They're there to pin something on you, and they are slick. They're trained to do that questioning. They got tricks.
And yes, absolutely. And that deposition with Ned wasn't no different. They're still filing a civil suit against you. So all the questions that he was asking Mickey in that deposition, of course, he's not going to have, straight comebacks and give you an answer right away. He's going to sit and think about that, especially if you got stuff to hide. Then you've got to think, you've got to take in the question that they've asked you. You've got to think through your mind what all is okay for me to say, what all is not okay for me to say. I think that's what that lawyer was meaning when he said, he was afraid that he was going to say the wrong thing. And he was afraid that he had already said the wrong thing. He may have already said something that, I can just see how that much stress and that much pressure on you would make you do something that would be out of character. And we don't know how high this goes yet. We don't know how deep this goes yet. This courthouse thing could just be the tip of a huge iceberg. Mickey will use everything he can to get out of this. Ramona said
too.
Dee Dee and Kevin were best buds, hung out together, ran around together, and picked young girls up all their life, allegedly. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of rumors and a lot of things that we've not discussed even on this show yet. Because we don't have any print, we don't have anything to look at to corroborate some of this stuff.
And you don't want to go around destroying people's reputation.
Absolutely.
There's enough evidence there's enough indication that there's some things going on that we don't know about that were shady without, having to resort to
right.
Gossip.
That's right. Jessica says, I have thought for quite some time that things were being said behind backs that Mickey was hearing that was stressing him out. Well, from what I have heard over time, the gossip mill in Whitesburg at the courthouse is just unreal. So if you actually add that in, what everybody was saying behind everybody's backs and all the whispers that were being said, every job has a water cooler. Every job has a gossip mill. So,
well, I guess maybe I'm just real naive.
Mental health claim shift the burden to the defense from the usual 100% prosecution burden. That's true.
We don't know what he's not had any kind of an evaluation yet. We don't know what the evaluation will show.
Yeah.
But they must feel pretty confident that it's going to come back in Mickey's. I was going to say in his favor, but I don't know if having a crazy spell's in anybody's favor. but you know what I mean, that he was having mental health issues at that time.
What would you do if someone was threatening to harm your family? Someone untouchable, like the judge?
Well, I guess you'd do what you had to do, is my opinion, or what you thought you had to do.
Bob says, I don't buy it. If he's that fearful, his outlet is the AG, the DOJ, or the FBI. Unless he was, he didn't want to implicate himself. If he had stayed quiet and had witnessed, think of what we're talking about here. We're talking about some really, really bad crimes. We're not just talking about fixing a speeding ticket, y'all. We're talking about some really, really bad stuff. And I think that kind of gets lost sometimes,
And it's not just about sex. The sex was just a part of it.
It's about power.
There was some other things going on that involved money, in my opinion.
It's about power, it's about control, and it's about money. That
Let's read this next one.
Mickey was a sheriff. People really do not know the private conversations with his family and how, as a family, privately putting their safety first. It called awareness of your surroundings. Yeah.
Yeah, I had never thought about that. He was aware of his surroundings. I mean, I'm just assuming that that's a possibility that one could say.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think Mickey held anything back from his lawyer. That face. I know. I didn't think
didn't think he did either.
I think
I think Mickey knew that man was speaking for him, because I thought he had a look of contentment on his face.
Yeah. I thought he was very confident in what he was saying. I truly believe that he wasn't feeling threatened or loss of sanity. He looks cold, calm, and collected or calculated during the pew-pew. I knew them both, and I agree with Elizabeth. John Hall. Let's see. Hannah Barbara. I love the banjo. It does interfere somewhat with the audio of third-party videos, but otherwise a hit. Yeah, thank you. Exactly. How about all of the women's lives were changed due to these things done to them? Absolutely. Listen, we've all been, well, maybe not all of us, but a whole bunch of us have been on the other side, have been on the receiving end of.
I have been attacked a couple of times, and I've had people try to push themselves on me, and so it's really bad, it makes you feel really bad.
It does. It does. It makes you feel helpless.
It makes you feel you're helpless at the time, and you're scared, and you don't know, they might even try to kill you. Who knows? They might have a disease, that'd go through my mind.
Mickey announced his plans to retire. Rumored cash and tape squirreled away. Wonder if either or both were our insurance policies. Well, that's a good question. Mickey was planning on retiring. I went down there to the sheriff's department for something probably about a year or 6 months before this happened. And I was talking to him, and he told me, he was like, I'm done. He said, I ain't running again.
He told me the same thing when he got my doggy out of the car for me. And he said he was going fishing.
So, that's what he was looking forward to. Mickey was looking forward to retirement. And
he went down the rat race, I guess.
Yeah. And he acted disgusted when I spoke to him at the sheriff's department. He was like, they can have this place. He said, they can have it and all the mess that comes with it. I'm done, he said.
Yeah, he was sort of like in that attitude. I don't remember what he said, but that's the attitude he had. He wanted to get away from it.
Yep. So
and I don't know why. It could have just been that it is too many criminals and expectations and a whole bounty of things that it could be.
That's right. Deadly Queens. Hello, everyone. Goes back 20 years, no doubt. It goes back farther than that. I've got all kinds of stuff that people have sent to me that from the history of Whitesburg and Letcher County.
Well, but this one issue is just since we had this drug rehab court.
Yeah, and someone sent me an article right before we went on, and it was stating that Matt Brown, the president of ARC, was stepping down. It didn't say where he was going, didn't say what his plans were. It just said that he was stepping down as president of ARC.
Well, if I was him, I'd be running. I'd be getting away too.
Yeah, that's right, Mommy. So did the judge have something to do with the family being threatened? Well, you saw his lawyer didn't say Kevin, but and he didn't say who, but he had a very interesting response to that question.
All his responses were wonderful.
Yeah,
they were truly wonderful. That man is bright.
Yeah, and remember, they're personal injury attorneys. We got a new member. Thank you. Anybody that wants to get you a membership,
I don't think that it's as cut and dried as one person being responsible, like for causing panic. It was more of a general thing that everybody was involved in some way, shape, or form.
Well, D.E. Wright says, I think he has a huge story to tell.
I think that's right. He's got a huge story to tell if he'll tell it.
Vicky V.A. says, I think you're right. Yes, many more still to be found out. See You Later says, so many different organized crime activities, rug trade, human trafficking, and rehab fraud. Little fish come from big fish. That's right. I think so, but she names many government higher-ups involving SAing. There's a lot of people involved, more than 2 or 3. It's more than beats people's eyes. A lot of people in that courthouse. Listen, I said it as soon as we read and looked at the Ben Fields stuff. Ben Fields, they sent him to mediation, for like a negotiation for his plea. But he pled guilty to all the stuff that they had charged him with, it looked like to me. What was he negotiating? His sentence, maybe his sentence. But it looks to me like he pled guilty, gave him the fall guy, and then the investigation didn't go no further. It doesn't look like it to me. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it didn't look like there was ever any investigation done into any other higher-ups.
Well, all right. Let's carry on. Read's another one.
Sorry. Only half of y'all hit the like button. Go show us some love. Absolutely. Hit the like button for us. It helps us get out to more people. Helps our show grow. What if the judge was setting Mickey up, a person he thought was a true friend that he trusted? Now he's going to lose his job, his career, can't take care of his family if he's in jail. Well, and betrayal, if Mickey felt betrayed in some way,
I mean, people, I have, really trusted people before in my life, and they would do things and say stuff that just really cut you to the core.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And if you thought that somebody that was your friend was going to do something or say something that could put you in jail or prison for a very long time, you might feel very, very betrayed. Well, some of these podcasts
might be telling you something about your family too.
Yeah. some of these podcasts have said the judge couldn't be prosecuted. I didn't understand that. I don't either. What if the judge was setting Mickey up, a person he thought, oh, we already read that one, sorry.
Well, I guess the judge can be charged with anything. He's dead.
That's right. If Mickey claiming mental illness, I'd be afraid to have him walk in the streets, especially after what he did. Well, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think that that's what they're claiming now. I think now that we've listened to this interview, he really clarified the difference between competency, which is now, and the criminal responsibility of his mental state, of the threats and all this at the time. And I don't think they were saying what the way that I understood what he said. They're not saying he was crazy then. They're saying he was under so much pressure, under so much stress, in such a delicate position by having to keep quiet, having to try to hide all of this stuff that was going on in the courthouse. It drove him to, commit
Do
this.
what he did.
That's the way I understood it. But, we're not.
He was the Lone Ranger coming in, riding in to save the town.
Well, John Hall says they're all corrupt. Jessica says I'd say enough extreme stress can cause mental dysfunction.
I like that word, dysfunction.
I do too. That sounds good. Let's see.
I don't use big words too often, but I sure like the sound of some of them.
I know they're fun to say, ain't they?
Mm-hmm.
Consider grabbing a membership and joining this Hillbilly family. Yes, yes, yes. And send me an email to hillbillycrime@gmail.com and tell me that you're wanting the Discord link, and I'll send you the link, and you can be part of our members only live. Everyone involved on this case in the judicial system are all located further than 2 to 4 hours away from the county, which will likely be moved to a different area. A lot can happen in a year from now. Yeah, there could be. Little Birdie says lots of excuses for a red rum. All those people trying to expose Diddy years ago sounded crazy. Now, not so much. Vicky VA, that was a mic drop comment. Because I feel the exact same way. Exact same way. People would have never dreamed that he was rugging people and making them sign NDAs and disclosure stuff like that.
Who Diddy? Who's Diddy?
That's that. The music producer, rapper.
Hey, quit that. Quit.
I've heard of people getting a cyst on part of the brain that regulates emotions and it changing them completely. Yeah, there can be some medical issues like that. We've not heard of anything. I mean, we've heard some rumors back and forth, but I don't think there's been anything credible yet about any kind of a medical problem with Mickey. Let's see. What we saw on the way to jail was the only paranoia, if seen or heard of, in evidence. People have said, somebody told me the other day that a couple of his deputies didn't sit with him at lunch because he was acting strange and not like himself. And so it seems like people were distancing themselves a little bit from him because of his odd behavior there towards the end, but it looks like it's pressure, stress. Not only was Mickey in fear for his family himself, but also a fear for the public. A lot of pressure on one man. I'm sorry that it happened the way that it did, but I think it had to be something major to bring needed attention to the whole situation. Yeah. I still think it goes to trial. I can't see a plea being offered to someone pew-pewing a sitting judge, regardless of the circumstances. Normally, you wouldn't. But it just depends. I might be changing my opinion, too, on this Jackie Steele. When I first heard him, the first couple times he spoke on, like, to the media after hearings or whatever, and even listening to him speak in the Zoom calls in the hearings. At first, I wasn't so convinced that he wasn't gonna be very sympathetic towards Mickey. But the more that this goes on and the more that I see him and I hear him speak, I don't think he's going to be as sympathetic towards Mickey as what I first thought he would. It looks like he's going to push back some. But I will reserve my judgment on that situation until further down the road. Let's see.
Judges, a lot of times judges have a technique where they can separate stuff out. So I can see why he wouldn't be leaning one way or the other. But he could be in the middle, because you want them to be in the middle.
Yeah.
They're not on the same side as the prosecutor, not really. They're supposed to be in between the prosecutor and the defendant. So I think I kind of like the judge myself.
Tracy says Judge Mullins had immunity from a civil lawsuit. I Googled.
Okay.
Light
That's
is
revealing as well, you know what?
Kentucky Bluebird says light is the best disinfectant. How long has it been going on? Would it have been exposed if not for the red rum? It's been going on for years.
Well, I think that's probably true. If it hadn't been for that, I think things would have continued as they were going.
I saw a comment here. One officer laughed because it was just a matter of time before it happened. And then Hannah says, that's the way I took his laugh as well. He wasn't surprised or upset. They're talking about that officer. And I noticed something when I watched it this time. I had asked last time if anybody knew who the officer was that was laughing. I noticed this time that was a state police car. That wasn't a county. That wasn't the color of a county car. And it wasn't the color of any of the city police cars around here. That looked like a state trooper car. It was gray.
He may not have known him very well. And who knows? I didn't think it was a sinister laugh that he was glad he was dead, or, he may just have a nervous laugh and laughs at inappropriate times. I didn't take anything from his laugh.
Who is filling in for the sheriff now, and have they upgraded the security in the courthouse? Well, yeah, Billy Jones was one of his deputies. He was a school resource officer. He has been named sheriff, so they've replaced him as sheriff.
And I really, really like him.
Mommy likes him real well. And
I saw yesterday where he had taken something. Well, our magistrate went and got somebody's prescription during this cold spell. Mm-hmm. And then the sheriff took food to somebody.
Yeah, they're always doing stuff like that around here. They did put in a metal detector in the courthouse right after this happened. So at least, and I don't think they can walk in through the side door anymore. I think they might have stopped that several years ago.
It's been stopped a long time. Yeah. You have to go through the front door.
I'm a Kentucky girl also, and I'm new to your channel. I love it. I'm so curious about this case and appreciate your reporting. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad you're here. I sure would hope so, but I doubt it. Is there a trial date yet? I don't think so. Mm-mm. Did Mickey know he couldn't go to the state attorney? Well, and it also depends how far up it goes. If the judge was untouchable, or if he felt like he was untouchable, you got to look. Is our governor untouchable? Is our AG untouchable? You look at the connections. The AG is college roommates and big childhood buddies with the ARC CEO. There's so many lawyers. And so I don't know. It just depends on how far up the creeps go. Slick as snot on a door facing, Jessica said. Most politicians were lawyers. Mike Skidmore says that. Let's see. If Mickey testifies, he opens himself up to a tough cross-examination.
He's not going to testify. His lawyer's too good. He doesn't need to testify.
I think you're right, Mommy. His lawyer's too good. Criminal cases always supersedes civil cases. Yes. Send me an email to hillbillycrime@gmail.com, and then I'll respond with your Discord link. Lawyers, Mickey's voice in testifying. Yep. You have a good point. I thought that too. He knew it was a matter of time. It was all going to break loose. And if it was all going to break loose, is it self-preservation? Was what he did kind of a self-preservation thing? Because if it all breaks loose, what's the judge going to tell about me? You just never know. Maybe someone up the food chain of these crimes told the sheriff to pew the judge. Maybe he called his daughter to make sure. Well, it's a theory. You are very smart, sweet tater. I thought same thing, that judge us letting the info out that he wants let out. His mental capacity. Judges' sexual encounters. Long family history of law enforcement employees. Wife is now the court designated worker. I think he's, let's see. What a tangled web we weave.
When we first try to deceive.
That's right. It's kind of what you said, Mommy. When you tell one lie, you got to remember it. When you tell another one, and then you tell another one, and you can't keep track.
And I get all mixed up.
The good old boys had the power to cover up their corruption because they were all in on it. Now there are investigations at the state level and national media attention. And they're all very, very upset at all this attention. We still don't know if sheriff filed a criminal complaint against the judge or not, do we? No, we don't know that yet. But his lawyer asked that question at the hearing, so I'll be anxious to see if that comes out. Who was the attorney representing Mickey in the county in the civil case? That's a good question.
I guess it must have been one of our local people.
Reagan Green. That's a really good question. Who is his attorney? And somebody said that he had seen a personal injury attorney at some point before this happened.
Mickey?
Yeah. I heard that somewhere. It might have been on one of these other shows I did. Maybe the reason he walked in the judge's chambers with his pew pulled was he knew the judge carried and he wanted the upper hand. Well, I have heard that he used to carry one like on his ankle, like under his pants or whatever. Now, but that was a long time ago. I don't know if he was still supposedly doing that or not. I don't know. But somebody had told me that a long time ago he did.
I don't think it'd make any difference if he had one in his drawer. You know what I'm saying? He was bound and determined that he would have been first. You know what I'm saying? Even if there was one there.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think he did it. He didn't pull it. He didn't walk in with it pulled. He walked in, and I don't even know when he pulled it.
Well, somebody made a really, really big comment to me. They said that it looked to them like Mickey had it in his pocket. Because I said, if you watch that video, you know, if he had it in his holster, you'd see his arm come up like this, and you never see his arm do that. His arm is always down at his side the whole time. And so if he's never seen pulling it from his holster, she might be right. He might have had it just in his pocket, in his front pocket. He didn't have on real tight pants. So it could have been.
He didn't have on a uniform either.
He could have had that in his front pocket. And if it was in his front pocket, then that would explain why we don't see his elbow come up in that motion of pulling it out of his holster. So I thought that was very interesting. He could have had it in his pocket. He might not have even had a holster on. I don't know. We don't see another angle of him where you can see it. Well, yeah, we do too. He goes around the table and then comes back. But I don't remember seeing a holster on him. I'll have to look at that again and see. When you don't sleep, you're scared for your family. You start hearing voices. One night you go to kitchen and refrigerator starts talking to you. Paranoia is scary because it's unpredictable.
My refrigerator talks to me. I'm going to eat everything in it. Leaving with it. I'll start cooking. I'll cook all night long.
I still believe this doesn't stop at Mickey. I believe it goes higher up and deep and wide. Hi, Elizabeth and Sweet Tater, honey.
Howdy, howdy.
All it takes is one juror with doubt. And remember, he wants this trial in Letcher County. If he has a compelling enough story, he could just see a nullification, a jury nullification thing. But then again, he might end up rolling the dice on that and end up getting a jury full of Kevin supporters. You just never know. Key words: implicating himself. Thank you, allegedly, Lisa. R. Drake. Thank you, honey. Thank you.
What about me?
Abuse of power and control. Mama, you found your calling too. Vicky VA became a YouTube member. Thank you. Why would he think the judge would get investigated if he reported it? The judge wasn't investigated after Ben's case, so what good would reporting it do? Yeah, and look at what somebody else asked me the other night. Why, all these people sending this stuff to the FBI? Look at what the FBI did with Scott Blair's case, the Commonwealth attorney from Hazard, Perry County. The only thing I've said it so many times, the only thing they charged him with and he pled to was honest services fraud. That man was committing the R word, the rugs. They had all these text messages. I mean, these people were putting it in Facebook Messenger. I mean, they weren't scared. It didn't look like at all of being found out. He wasn't charged with all that stuff that he should have been or could have been charged with, and sounded to me like he should have been charged with. So I don't think people have much faith in the FBI or any investigative agency. And that FBI number that you Google or whatever, it's just a recording. It's like a voicemail. It's not a person that you get. So if you called them and you left them a voicemail on the thing, well, they may not ever call you back. Who knows? Anyway. All right, y'all. Anybody have anything that they want to say before we let you all go?
Well, it just gets more revealing.
It just
the longer but we sit and listen and talk.
Bugman says, Mom, LOL, my fridge does the same. You call me, I'll come over and eat all you cook.
There you go.
Yeah.
I get these cooking urges and I like to cook, Today it was salt pork. Now, I don't know if you all know about salt pork or not, but it comes in a little cube like thing, and it's about a pound, and you buy it at the grocery store. And it's usually, there's different kinds, but my kind started with an H. And it doesn't have to be sliced, but I get to slice so I can cook it. That's all we had to eat when I was a kid, because we'd kill a pig, and so we'd have salt pork. And that just, it wasn't that it tasted all that good. It just tasted like my childhood.
Yeah.
And that was fun. So I eat some of it. I'll probably be drinking water all night long. And my blood pressure will be up 20 points tomorrow.
Dave Clifton says, I think the FBI is being overhauled as we speak. Well, that would be nice if they were.
All those agencies need to be overhauled, every little whip stitch. We have our senators have to serve 4 years, and presidents are supposed to serve, what can they serve, 8? So everybody knows that after you got the same people there forever and ever and ever, there's all sorts of little schemes going on.
Yep, that's right. Somebody told me.
It just always happens. It just always happens. It's just sort of the nature of the game.
Yeah. Somebody told me a long time ago, if they're not dirty when they go in, they sure are by the time they come out. And,
well, you hang around with crooks. Usually you become a crook.
One. That's right. Savage Optimist says, I love salt pork. Everybody says they like it. Yeah. I want some recipes from Sweet Tater.
Lord, you don't want none of my recipes. I just make them up as I go. I'm a creative cook.
That's right. Shame X2 says some investigations are like the roll of the dice.
Well, I think that's what they roll to decide what's true and what's not true. They'd pick up the dice and roll it.
Jessica says, love salt pork, fat back, and jaw meat, neck bones. I accidentally bought a pack of neck bones one time, thinking it was ribs. And I cooked them and ate them and said that was the best pack of ribs. I didn't even know it was neck bone.
They are really tasty, particularly barbecued.
That's what I buy them from now on. I ain't bought them in a long time, but anytime I want ribs, I end up eating neck bones.
Comfort food.
Yeah.
I like things that are frozen, because they're so simple and easy, but I'll whip up a cobbler just to see if I can.
You do? You make the best ones, too.
I'm getting to where I can make them pretty good.
Yep. You've always been good. How about chicken feet? No, I ain't never eat no chicken feet. You ever eat chicken feet, Mom?
No, but you can eat pickled pig's feet. And you know what? We have this store down here, And so they gave some stuff away one time at a Christmas thing. And honey, there was a snout, a pickled snout. I did have it. I don't know what I did with that. And I kept it forever and ever. That pickled snout. I mean, that was historic as far as I was concerned, that anybody eat a pickled pig snout.
Well, on that note, Mommy, I will holler at you later. I love you.
All righty.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye. You guys have a great rest of your night. Stay blessed. Stay warm. Peace out, Girl Scout. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m.